Hey, beautiful people. I'm driving to Target for a shift, so I thought we can talk a little bit. Hopefully the traffic is not crazy. Lately it's been pretty wild. But yeah, something I was thinking about today, because I was checking some online videos and whatnot. I just wanted to say that I feel like we kind of lost the ability to change mind about things, in the sense that I see people always more polarized, they're kind of like angry and agitated and very confrontational. And I think that, I don't know, by now I'm 41, and I feel like if God gave me a blessing with something, is that He kind of gave me the idea that it's okay to change your mind on things. So, um, I don't know why now people feel so strongly about themselves and their conviction, and they sort of go all the way with whatever their worldview or what they think they should think on things. Well, it's very interesting to just hear people talk and have them explain their point of view, and I feel like that the most interesting conversations that I have oftentimes were with people that think differently from me. So I think it's important to don't get scared or turned off when people say certain things, and just listen, because you really never know where you're gonna get some good nuggets of interesting information or a interesting point of view that maybe you haven't considered before. And I don't know. I think that in general, social media has been um, pretty bad for that, because when it came out in the beginning, I truly thought that it was like finally the time of freedom and for people to be able to express what they wanted, and kind of give a voice to the people who typically wouldn't have a voice. Um, and in some way, it was like that in the beginning. In the beginning, like when the internet arrived, and so even before Web 2, right? So before the idea of having forums and blogs and all this kind of stuff, like we had a lot of interesting point of views that came out, and you were able to read and participate in, and it was very refreshing and intriguing. Then I feel like when Web 2 happened with social media, um, we gradually went from something that was of value to basically like an extraction of the value of people. And instead of getting, more points of views, we got less points of views and more polarized, and we created like a lot of factions. Um, and I think that is undoubtedly is something that is very self-serving to corporations and governments and people that kind of want to keep us divided, right? Because people who are divided are easier to conquer and to keep in check. So let's try to don't lose track of the fact that, we're all human beings, and we all belong to the same species, and in some cases to the same country, and we should take something out of each other in terms of ideas and perspectives, right? You can't think to wanna uh, consume only media that marries your point of view, or to hang out only with people who have your same point of view on things. Um, and um, and yeah, I feel like it instead the last few years, especially after COVID and the year before COVID, it started getting like much worse in that sense. Like I see really a dichotomy, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like one side, um, being the Democrats, tends to be way more adamant about their sense of self-righteousness and kind of like almost demonizing the other side by seeing it as dangerous or undemocratic, while the whole concept of uh, being open and free, it kind of includes also the fact that sometimes you're going to hear opinions or facts that make you uncomfortable, right? And in general, like in life, the more you can be uh, open to accept this state of discomfort, the more you're going to be able to grow. Because real growth comes from discomfort. Like it doesn't come from, always being in your cocoon and always being protected and only hearing the things you want to hear. And instead, unfortunately, I feel like social media created a lot of cocoons, and they call them echo chambers, like basically people who talk to each other and they're not really open to different ideas or point of views, and I think that's very dangerous because it kind of dehumanizes the other side, right? So I don't particularly like things like, make an example like Blue Sky, where if you basically say certain things, you're gonna get sponged by it. You're gonna have a moderator who's gonna come in and kick you out. Because I think like the whole point is that you should be able to say whatever the heck comes into your mind, and people should be able to take a certain amount of discomforting and also hear things that are not necessarily at times polite from their point of view. I think like this idea that we always have to be polite to each other is of course important. That is also something that has been taken a little bit to the extreme, where pretty much you've got a wall connection, and there are certain groups that are at a certain point more free to say things that are controversial, and I don't think it's good for democracy. Like I don't think it's good for human thought, and I don't think it's good for the mental health of everyone. Because I don't know, I feel like there is a certain degree of rite of passages and egging on each other that are kind of inherent to the human condition. Like for example, I work at Target, and I think that is normal that when you enter in a new environment, you kind of go through rites of passages where you make jokes at each other, or um, you take little pokes at each other, and of course, I mean, it's not something as extreme as it might be, like when you join the military, where there is a certain set hierarchy that um, is kind of made also to toughen you up, right? Like you go through certain things to get toughened up. But I think it's something that should be expected. Like you can expect to be always treated with white gloves in every situation, and that no one is going to be quote unquote mean to you. because even when it comes to customers, right, not all the customers are going to be nice and they're going to be courteous, and some of them they're going to treat you like you're basically like not a human being. And I think it's a good school. It's a good school because we can really go through life thinking that every interaction we're going to have is going to be what we expect it to be. Like a lot of interactions are going to leave us feeling like, I don't know, we have been slighted or we have been offended and all this kind of stuff. And I think that the more you are able to, the stronger of a human being you become. Like the more you are able to don't get offended and don't take money, the better human being you become. Because in the end, if somebody is being, rude or condescending to you, you really said something about them, not about you. So if you don't take the bait, that proves that you are a stronger human being than they are. And I think I mentioned this before, but if you are in a situation where, you know, somebody is rude to you, you kind of have a choice to make. Like you can choose to be rude back or kind of, try to win, let's call it the confrontation or win that interaction. Or you can take the high road and choose to just be very nice back, right? And I experimented a lot and I tried all sorts of combination of things. And I can tell you that being super nice to someone who's being rude is way more advantage. And it's way more advantageous. Why? Because most of the time, if you are very nice to someone who is being rude, you kind of stop them in their tracks with the rudeness, because you kind of get the um, ground off their feet, and they are nothing much to, you know, complain or attach to then keep themselves in that state of aggressiveness. Because what people is looking for when they're being rude or confrontational, they're looking for confrontation. They're looking for confrontation because for whatever reason they walk into that moment feeling like they needed to put somebody down. And most likely than not is because they don't feel good about themselves or something. So you have to think that if someone who is not happy and a little miserable, and that says a lot. Says a lot, and if you choose, to let their misery also become yours by taking the day, then you're gonna make your day a little bit worse, right? Well, if you, on the other hand, you decide to don't take the bait and don't respond on the same terms, you uplift yourself as a human being, and you uplift the situation. And more likely than not, also their attitude is gonna change, because they're gonna see that you're not a person who belongs in the mental state that they are in. Then there is the other possibility, and the other possibility is that even if you are nice and don't take the bait, they are still gonna keep being rude to you, right? Because for whatever reason they are too sad or they are too broken, and in this moment they just don't have self-control and they are not able to find a footing. Like they just want to see the world burn, for lack of a better term. And if that's the situation, you still get to walk away by being nice, feeling good, feeling in a way that is gonna make you feel good about yourself, because you chose to be nice to somebody who wasn't, and this is gonna leave you a good taste in your mouth, because you're gonna feel like you didn't really partake in that confrontation, and you took the high road. Like you are a more mature human being who's more in control of itself, and that is a really good thing. Is a really good thing. Like you shouldn't see interactions as victorious or not in that sense. Like as long as you maintain your composure and you're able to have a communication when you're not confrontational, you already won, because the goal of every interaction should be to bring something to each other, not to win something, right? Which I think is the same thing that we were talking about a few minutes ago, about how right now the discourse seems to be us versus them. Well, it's really not like that. It should be that you are able to interact and have conversations a little bit with everyone, notwithstanding whatever they think or whatever way they see themselves or whatever party they feel like they belong, or whatever current or worldview. And and it's very important that we don't lose this, like especially talking to younger people, right? You want to be sure that you go through life, say, and what everybody can teach you. Because something that I realize is that you never really know from who you're going to learn something interesting, and you never really know who actually is going to prove to be important to your development and your life. And going back to like rites of passages or initiation, like I make an example. Like when I was at just starting out at Target, um, I was talking. I always found him funny with this guy, and he always got my name wrong, but it was like comical, right? In the sense, it was so um, repetitive and exaggerated how many times he said my name, that I knew that like he knew my name. He was just like playing, right? Um, and I think that in those situations you can choose, correct someone every time, or be negative, or you just play along. And uh, and I just decided to play along, and everybody was calling way, he was calling me the wrong way, and I always call him his name. I never, try, oh, you're doing this to me, so I do the same thing to you. No, and uh, and eventually we developed like a very nice friendship, in the sense that um, a few times I drove him home. We talk a lot about our lives. I learn a lot about him. He learned a lot about me, and then we were joking all the time, and the fact that he was calling me not my name kind of became part of our friendship and our relationship, and I never really addressed it, and one day he just started to call me my real name, because I think that I kind of took out so much of steam from that little uh, little trick, that he was just like, all right, I'm just gonna call him his real name, right? But that has never really been addressed. I just always found it funny, and I always reply when he was saying my name wrong and knowing that he was talking to me. Um, so why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if you decide to be super defensive and super negative about things, you kind of preclude yourself from whatever friendship you might develop with these people, right? And in the case of this person, he really became probably I want to say my favorite there. And as a matter of fact, like a couple of months back, because he's way younger than me, a couple of months back, got into college and he moved to another city. Um, and we talked the whole time. We talked the whole time, and I text him a lot of my stupid AI videos, or I text him asking how he's doing, how was your Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, like all this kind of shit. And also, the day that he left, he wrote me a very nice note that I appreciated incredibly. And to be honest with you, like, I think it's like almost a lost art. Very few people like believe you. Note we might text each other or um, write on social media, but a nice, paper note goes a long way, and it really made me like, oh wow, he's a cool dude. And he left me an incredibly sweet note saying that he was gonna miss me, and he called me like older brother, all this kind of stuff. And I think that really made me realize how much is important to don't be defensive in the interactions you have with people. Because the more defensive you are, the more disconnected you are from everyone, right? So the way that now the discourse and communications are handled among people, they tend to want to be all incredibly politically correct and uh, certain ways. And I think that kind of results not in us having better conversations, but it kind of results in us having less conversation because people is terrorized with saying the wrong thing or offending someone, and the result of that is that we all talk less. We all talk less. We all play less. Um, we all interact in a way that is not as free and as playful and enjoyable as it could be. And it's a pity. It's sad. It's sad because we can go through very beautiful and fun moments in every environment we are in. May that be work or school or I don't know, wherever the heck we are, a gym or wherever. And so yeah, I think that what we should really think is that first of all, when we have interactions online, like we see just an account and some sort of username, and maybe in some cases you can click and see the page, right? So there is a certain amount of info that we have on someone, but it's not the same as meeting or running into someone on the street, right? And I truly think that most people wouldn't be so dismissive of other human beings if instead of having a conversation online or through an app, they would have it in real life, right? But unfortunately, I'm seeing this crystallize even more, where there are certain situations, like, for example, if there is a protest or a gathering of some sort, where people tend to gang up on whoever doesn't think that way that they perceive as acceptable in that situation, right? Well, we need to have conversations. We need to have conversations, and it's perfectly fine to ask questions. It's perfectly fine to ask for explanation. It's perfectly fine to have doubts. And especially, it's perfectly fine to change your mind. Because if you don't have conversations, how you're going to change your mind, right? So if you truly feel so strongly about something to the point that it makes you want to fight with people, like, you get much better results by staying calm and respectful and having a conversation, because if your ultimate goal is to get more people to see the world or push through an issue that is very dear to your heart, you get way more results by actually explaining to the person who in that moment doesn't think like you why instead you feel so strong about something, like name calling or putting people down or insulting or calling somebody a Nazi or stupid or illiterate. That's kind of like a lack, shows a lack of argument, but especially shows a lack of patience and love and care. And to me, it kind of just shows that you are really stretched thin, right? When you get aggressive, and um, and we are definitely all stretched thin because we live in a world that is very stressful, and we're definitely not wired for living in a huge city on top of each other. Like it's very stressful, and I don't think that the speed of the technological advancement has increased so much, and even just 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we used to live in a completely different manner. And I don't think human beings and our brains and our senses and all of us had enough time to adjust to the speed of everything right now. And the amount of information that you can take in, uh, the amount of things that you might see and that might irk you or scare you or frighten you or give you anxiety. And I see a lot of people who is full of anxiety and anger and resentment and jealousy, and and it's sad. It's sad because what could have been an incredible way to see the world in a different place, different way, and learn new things and kind of like explore different worldviews, became a way to make people even more polarized and scared and confrontational. Um, and and deep down, it plays on the most basic instincts of human beings that are, kind of like animal-like. So I understand, like, yes, it's the fault of the algorithm, it's the fault of the platforms themselves, because they do thrive on confrontation, right? The more something becomes a confrontation, the more engagement they get and more eyes they get on something, the more advertisement they get. But I'm not entirely of the point of view that is all, these corporations' fault. I think like there is something to say even about us as human beings. Like we could do better, and we could all do better. We could all do better on every side, and we could all try to approach things in a more calm and polite way that doesn't necessarily entail demonizing whoever doesn't see things the way we do. And yeah, I don't know like to what degree this change can happen at this point because it's like very ingrained. But I also think that um, we should make an effort to try to be around other people as much as possible. So um, let's say that you have a job that is a job in an office or you work from home. Like those are very comfortable situations, but they are also very dangerous situations because the least amount of human beings you're around, the more you are prone to think that whatever you see online is necessarily the truth, right? And if it's true that these sources of information play on this contrast and conflict to get more of your time and attention, then you're going to gradually spiral out of control into thinking that everybody's out to get you and there is a side who is dangerous or wrong, and kind of sort of dehumanize the other, right? Well, instead, if you have the chance and the luck to be around other people and actually talk to them, I feel like most likely than not, you're gonna find something in common with this other person, because even if someone feels very differently about things than you still have some commonality on a human sense, on a very basic human level. And so if you are on these situations where you're not around a lot of people, try to challenge yourself and find something to do outside the house. Might that be some sort of physical activity, maybe do some volunteering, maybe go take a course, um, just going out, like go going out on the on the walkway or by the sea or in a square, like try to be around other people and try to be around other people um, in the beginning where you have a common goal so that you already have something to talk about and to sort of connect about, because it also gets much harder to make friends as we grow older, right? When we are young, it's very easy to start a conversation and become friends with people. Then as we proceed in life, it gradually becomes harder to meet people. So you need to be very intentional about that. You need to be very intentional about being around other people and having conversation and just get to experience life from different point of views. And I think that the more you're able to do that, the less you're gonna be inclined to start fighting with everyone online, and truly fighting with people online is an unwinning proposition, because you're never gonna walk away from that feeling satisfied, and you're gonna go back to your device like X amount of time waiting for the other person to respond something mean back, and it's just not something that leaves you any sort of good feeling or result. So don't fall in the trap. Don't fall in the trap of hearing shit online, and don't fall into the trap of starting like pissing competition with random people online. Just like if something bothers you that much, like, and he's online, like, who gives a shit? Just don't engage. Or if you post stuff and you post content, or you write an article, or you write your opinion, just don't read the comments. Just don't read the comments, because it's it's kind of the human situation that the people who don't do things comment and hate on the people who instead do things. Um, Maybe because it's a sense of they want to be endearing or still have a communication, but most likely they are just hating on whatever you're doing because they don't have the guts to go out and do the same thing you're doing, right? So why would you care about the opinion of someone that anyway is not as active or courageous or entrepreneurial than you? Like, you kind of earn the right to don't care about other people's opinion because you did something, right? So if somebody wanna reach out and wanna have a conversation, absolutely have it. But if somebody writes something just to tear you down, like it's the same as I was saying before for the customers who are being mean. Just smile. Just keep your interaction. You need to have an interaction. Have the interaction, but don't take the bait. Like it's not because of you. You know, like whatever sense of discomfort they're expressing is because of something that happened to them, and you are completely unrelated most of the time to that negative communication that is being sent. So by all means, treat people online as you would treat them in real life, because that's the right thing to do. Like, don't hide behind any sort of degree of anonymity, but also try to have as many conversations as you can in real life, because by having those conversations, you're gonna discover that you're not alone. You're not alone, and you're not lonely. And even the person that is the most different from you is still someone that you can have a laugh with. And just be positive, you know. Just go through things with an open mind, and you're gonna be surprised, because like, I'm not gonna lie, I work in a office for a very long time, and I was working remotely, and I kind of thought that, oh my god, nobody gets me. I just have this point of view that is, and this experience that is, life experience that is very unique, and like, bullshit. Like, when I finally was around more people, I realized that we kind of all function the same way. We function the same way, and we respond to the same stimulus in a very similar way, right? Then, of course, there are different degrees of trauma and different degrees of trauma response. Like, there is people who had nothing happen to them, and they are incredibly mean and scared, and people who had all sorts of things happen to them, and instead they're super open and playful. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that you are never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. You're just like everybody else most of the time. And then, of course, you're unique and special too, because everybody is the same, but everybody is also different. And I think that's the hard thing to grasp in life as you grow up, is that it's never really white or black, but each concept is defined by its opposite, right? So you can never really experience happiness if you've never been sad, and vice versa. Um, you can never understand fully uh, money if you haven't been poor. Uh, and it really goes, this way about everything. Like, each concept is defined by its opposite. And if you are able to digest that and interiorize that in a way that is the least traumatic possible, then you're off to a good start, because I feel like, especially when we are young, we try to find something that represents us, or trying to understand who we are or what place we have in the world, and it's easier to radicalize yourself and to conform yourself to a specific way of thinking, or try to play a character that is not really who you are. And I think we all do it mostly because we are scared. We are scared of the unknown. We are scared of not knowing who we are, not knowing where we belong. And the answer is that we all belong to everybody. Like, we all connected, and you can't really insulate yourself too much from other people on every point of view. And if you try to insulate yourself and create, this world where you're never going to have an interaction that you don't like, then you're really not going to live. And I think like the worst thing that can happen to a human being is to get to be old and be on your deathbed and think that you didn't live or you didn't get to do a lot of the things that you want to do. So by all means, go around, make errors, say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like, that's the only way to learn. The only way to learn is to slam your face in walls, and to get hurt, and the real moments of growth that you can have are after you fuck up really bad. Because when you fuck up really bad, you realize that you feel uncomfortable and you're like, why do I feel this way? And I think that if you're honest with yourself and pick up the pieces and try to think about what just happened, you will eventually unlock an higher state of consciousness where you are growing. Because growth really comes from messing up and feeling pain. So even if you love someone or you have kids, and you try to make everything easy for them, you're really not helping them because you wanna take into consideration that the part is part of growing up to fuck up. It's part of growing up to fuck up, and you can't avoid people from fucking up and uh, saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing because that's part of life. That's part of growing. That's part of understanding how human beings work. So don't shelter people and don't shelter yourself from situations. And remember that no matter what, the best thing that you can do is to help people going through these changes in the least possible traumatic way. But there is always going to be some sort of trauma involved because the human response to trauma is kind of like proportional to whatever we went through, right? So if you have a life that is very sheltered, very protected, very safe, your perception of what constitutes something traumatic is going to be very different from somebody who instead had a very hard and difficult life where everything has been, you know, as far from ideal as possible. So sheltering yourself or someone you love is counterproductive because you are putting yourself, somebody else into the world, not being able to deal with most of the things that are going to happen. Because I make no mistakes. Like, life is hard. Life is hard, and each time period differently, but they are all hard for different reasons. And the human scale of what hard is really changes a lot and adapts to the situation you have at hand. So there is never going to be something that is perceived as, easy and untraumatic. Why? Because as soon as something actually becomes easy, then after a while you start to find difficulty or discomfort even in that. So the best thing you can do is actually, push on the gas and live to the fullest extent and do everything, and especially do the things you're scared about. Like, I remember when I was younger, I was incredibly scared of being around other people because I didn't know who I was, right? And I kind of created a situation for myself where I was making good money and I was, avoiding pretty much every interaction that I didn't want to have. And I wasn't happy because I felt that there was, like, some fakeness in the situation and some fakeness in the sense of stability and um, safety that I created for myself, because I knew that I wasn't living life the real way, let's call it, right? It wasn't like a real life around real people. So by all means, go out, interact with people, talk, say the wrong thing, get cussed out, do all these things. But the worst thing you can do is to just don't try. Just don't try or hide. Because you have nothing to hide. Like, no one is perfect and no one is incredibly and horribly wrong. Like, we are all human beings. And the more you exercise this muscle of being around other people, the freer you're gonna become and the more confident you're gonna become. So it's like, it's the same as going to the gym, right? If you, in the beginning, you lift some weights and they hurt incredibly, and then you keep at it and you can do a couple of reps more and then more, and then eventually you're gonna start stimulating these muscles enough that you're gonna have more resistance and more strength. And it's the same when it comes to being around other people. Like, you gradually will find yourself getting energy out of being around other people. When if you tell yourself, oh, I can be around other people, it drains me, blah, 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 oh, after I am around other people, I feel drained, blah, 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 you are gonna get progressively worse, because you're gonna get comfortable in avoiding interaction. And if you get comfortable in avoiding interaction, you are gonna be uncomfortable all the time. And there is nothing good about being uncomfortable all the time. Like, you need to challenge yourself and be in situations where you don't have control. Because if every situation you are in is a situation where you feel in control or have control, guess what? You're always going to be worried about control, and you're always going to be anxious, and you're always going to be scared. While if you come to terms with the fact that we are never in control of anything, like everything is in God's hands, then you're going to sense such a sense of relief, because you're going to realize that you actually don't need control. You actually don't need to control situations. You don't need to come out of situations winning. You just need to play. And if you play ball, you're going to feel happy. You're going to feel happy no matter what. So just really challenge yourself and have conversations and actually listen. Don't have conversations where you're just waiting for what you're going to say. Listen, take in, make people feel special, make people feel welcome, and don't just wait for your turn to talk. Because for a very long time I was talking, just waiting for my turn to talk. And if you just wait to, vomit out all these words, you're actually not having a conversation. You're just having a monologue, and you're looking for attention. And when you are having a real communication, your attention should be on the other person, not on yourself. So again, it takes time, it takes will, and it takes a little bit of pain, because in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna feel uncomfortable. But again, day by day, little by little, you're gonna grow stronger and stronger and incorporate a lot of notions from other people that are gonna make you a better human being. And you don't have to agree on everything with someone else, but even just hearing how they think and why they think that and how they got to that conclusion, it might make you understand more about yourself and the world and all the things that you tell yourself are a certain way, and again, the world is full of contradictions, and it's full of shades, and colors are almost never entirely solid. So it's good to talk. It's good to talk. It's good to learn. It's good to understand. And and I feel like that if you do that by the end of your life, you're gonna realize that you actually live a good life because you know what it means to be a human being and a real human being, right? Not somebody who created a situation for themselves to be comfortable all the time, but that deep down knows that is not truly living. So don't be scared. Don't be worried. Like, nothing is ever perfect. Nobody never says the wrong thing. Nobody feels all the time a winner. Or there are times where you're gonna feel stupid. You're gonna feel like, oh my god, why I said that? Oh my goodness, I'm such a dork. But guess what? There is no way around it. Like, the more you're able to digest these moments of discomfort, the stronger you're gonna become a human being. So just go out, keep playing, keep trying, and don't worry. Like, everybody is on this planet just trying to do their best. No one has everything figured out. And if they act like they have everything figured out, they are actually very scared. Alright? Have a work. Have a good one. Ciao, ciao.